Among history's most remarkable figures, Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna of Russia was born in 1895 in the Alexander Palace, located in Tsarskoye Selo in Russia. Have you ever wondered what it was like to be the eldest daughter of the last Russian emperor? What challenges did she face growing up in a royal family during times of great change? Please watch my full video until the end, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please make sure to share it with your friends. Thank you. Now, let's dive into the full story. Olga was the first child of Emperor Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra. Her birth was difficult, lasting over 13 hours, but she arrived healthy and strong, weighing 4.5 kilograms. Her parents were happy to have a daughter, feeling she belonged to the family rather than the people. As a child, Olga was curious and kind-hearted. She once gave her doll to a crying child to make her happy. Olga grew up with her 3 sisters and younger brother, Alexei, in a life that balanced royal duties with simple habits like cold baths and sleeping on hard beds. Despite her royal status, Olga and her siblings were taught to live simply and treated by servants with first names only. She was especially close to her sister Tatiana, and the two were often called the Big Pair. Olga's early years were shaped by her family's love and the expectations placed on her as the eldest daughter during a time when Russia was heading toward great upheaval. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna was born into the Romanov family, the ruling dynasty of Russia. Her father, Emperor Nicholas II, was the last emperor of Russia before the monarchy ended. He was a serious man who cared deeply for his family and his country. Olga's mother, Empress Alexandra, was born in Germany and came from a royal family herself. She was devoted to her children, but sometimes struggled with health problems and the pressures of royal life. Olga had 4 younger siblings, her sisters Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia, and her brother Alexei, who was the only son and heir to the throne. Alexei suffered from hemophilia, a disease that made him very fragile and often sick. Because of this, Olga and her sisters were very protective of him. The family was close, but Olga, as the eldest daughter, was expected to help care for and guide her younger siblings. The Romanovs lived during a time of great political tension in Russia. Olga's mother trusted a man named Grigory Rasputin, who was believed to have special powers that helped Alexei's health. This connection made the family unpopular with many Russians, who saw Rasputin as a bad influence. Despite this, Olga was taught to see Rasputin as a friend during her childhood. Olga was also close to her father and often joined him on walks or played games with him during their summer holidays. Though she loved her mother, Olga's relationship with Alexandra could be difficult, especially during her teenage years. Nevertheless, family loyalty was very important to Olga, and she stayed by her family's side through the hard times that lay ahead. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna was known for her bright blue eyes and chestnut blonde hair. When she was young, people thought she was plain compared to her sisters. But as she grew older, she became very beautiful. She had a broad face and a small, slightly upturned nose that she called her humble snub. Olga was taller than average for her time, standing about 165 centimeters tall. Many who met her described her smile as warm and charming. Olga's personality was strong and sometimes fiery. She had a quick temper and could be moody, especially as a child and teenager. Once, she even told a portrait painter that he was very ugly and that she did not like him. Despite this, she was known for her kindness and generosity. If someone was in need, Olga was quick to help, often giving money or gifts without being asked. She cared deeply about others, a trait that showed clearly when she volunteered as a nurse during World War I. Her teachers and those close to her described Olga as intelligent and independent. She had a sharp mind and enjoyed reading about politics and current events. She was also musically talented, able to play the piano by ear and sing with a beautiful voice. Although she could be stubborn and sometimes disobedient, her straightforward way of thinking was admired by many. Olga was confident and had a strong sense of responsibility, especially as the eldest daughter. She believed that the eldest child should protect the younger ones. This sense of duty stayed with her throughout her life, even as the world around her changed quickly and became more dangerous. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna grew up in a royal family that valued education, but her learning was quite different from that of most children. She was taught by private tutors, including a Swiss tutor named Pierre Gilliard, who said Olga was very smart with a quick mind. She liked reading books about politics and history, and she often chose which books were suitable for her to read. Olga even joked with her mother about reading some of her books first to see if they were appropriate. Though she was raised in luxury, Olga and her siblings lived simply in many ways. They slept on hard beds and took cold baths every morning. The children were expected to behave properly and follow strict rules, but Olga could be stubborn and sometimes disobedient. She was known for her strong will and honesty, which sometimes caused trouble, but also showed her courage. Olga had little experience with the outside world because her family protected her from common life. For example, she did not understand money well and was surprised when she had to learn how to shop during the war. She also had a deep interest in spiritual matters, often thinking about heaven and the afterlife. This was partly because she learned about death early in life when her cousin died young. Her childhood was filled with both royal duties and simple joys, like playing with her siblings and enjoying summer holidays. These experiences shaped Olga into a thoughtful and responsible young woman. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna's family had a complicated relationship with Grigory Rasputin, a Russian peasant and holy man who gained great influence over the royal family. Rasputin was believed to have special healing powers that helped Olga's younger brother, Alexei, who suffered from hemophilia. Because of this, Olga and her siblings were taught to see Rasputin as a friend and called him "our friend." Rasputin often visited the family, even coming into the nursery where Olga and her sisters were getting ready for bed. Some members of the family and the royal court were uncomfortable with how much time Rasputin spent with the children. One governess wanted him banned from the nursery, fearing for the girls' safety, but the empress trusted Rasputin and defended him strongly. Rumors spread in Russian society that Rasputin had inappropriate relationships with the empress and her daughters, although these were never proven. Despite the scandals, Olga and her sisters wore amulets with Rasputin's image and prayers, showing their continued trust in him. Olga's feelings about Rasputin changed as she grew older. After his murder in December 1916, she expressed sadness, but also a sense of shame because some of her relatives had been involved in his killing. Olga's diary shows that she attended Rasputin's funeral, even though others said she did not. This complex relationship reflected the difficult times the Romanov family faced and the unusual people they relied on for help. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna's future marriage was a subject of much talk in Russia and Europe. Many people expected her to marry a prince from another royal family to strengthen political ties. Rumors linked her with Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, her cousin, and also with Crown Prince Carol of Romania, Edward, Prince of Wales from Britain, and Crown Prince Alexander of Serbia. Despite these stories, Olga wanted to marry a Russian and stay in her own country. Her parents promised they would never force her to marry someone she did not like. She was known to have a strong mind and was careful about whom she cared for. Olga also experienced young love with some officers who worked near her family. One was Pavel Voronov, a junior officer on the imperial yacht. Olga was deeply saddened when Voronov got engaged to someone else. She also had feelings for a wounded soldier she cared for during World War I, though she knew this love had no future. Her parents were careful about her relationships, and some marriage proposals were rejected. For example, Olga's mother refused the idea of her marrying a much older Russian prince who was known for his bad behavior. Olga's personal life showed her as a young woman who wanted to follow her heart, but was aware of the responsibilities her royal position carried. During World War I, Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna took on the important role of a nurse to help wounded soldiers. She worked at a military hospital near the family's home, where she treated many men injured in battle. Olga showed great care and compassion, often comforting the soldiers and listening to their stories. This experience exposed her to the harsh realities of war, which was very different from her sheltered royal life. Despite her strong spirit, the sights and sounds of the hospital were sometimes too much for Olga. After months of working in the operating rooms and seeing so much pain, her nerves became weak, and she had to stop direct nursing. Instead, she moved to administrative work, helping organize the hospital and care for the wounded from a distance. Olga's work during the war gave her a deeper understanding of the struggles faced by ordinary Russians. She became more aware of the political unrest growing in her country and how much people disliked the royal family. Her close friends said she was thoughtful and worried about the future, often showing sadness about the changes happening around her. Despite the stress, Olga and her sister Tatiana found strength in their nursing work and the friendships they made with other nurses. They also learned practical skills, like using money to shop and understanding the world outside the palace. Olga's nursing during World War I was a key part of her life, showing her dedication to helping others even in difficult times. The Russian Revolution in 1917 changed Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna's life forever. The royal family was forced to leave their home and was put under house arrest. First, they were kept at the Alexander Palace, then moved to Tobolsk in Siberia, and finally to a house in Yekaterinburg. Olga and her family lived in difficult conditions, far from the luxury they once knew. During this time, Olga fell ill with pleurisy, a painful lung disease. She also caught measles along with her siblings. Life in captivity was hard. The family had to do their own laundry and learn to make bread. The guards watched them closely, and the family was often sad and worried about what would happen next. Olga wrote poems and letters to her mother and friends, expressing her sadness, but also her hope and faith. She prayed for patience and the strength to forgive those who had wronged her family. Even in captivity, Olga tried to keep her spirits up for the sake of her younger siblings and her brother Alexei, who was very sick. The political situation in Russia was dangerous, and Olga understood the serious threat to her family. She felt the heavy weight of her role as the eldest daughter during these dark times. Despite the fear and uncertainty, Olga remained loyal to her family and tried to protect those she loved. Her imprisonment was a tragic period that showed her courage and resilience, even as the Romanov dynasty came to an end. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna's life ended tragically in the early hours of July 17, 1918. The Romanov family was held at the Ipatiev house in Yekaterinburg when they were told they would be moved for their safety due to unrest in the town. Instead, they were led to a basement room where they faced execution by a group of Bolshevik soldiers. At first, the gunfire killed Olga's father, Emperor Nicholas II, her mother, Empress Alexandra, and 2 servants. Olga, her sisters and brother were wounded, but not killed immediately because jewels sewn into their clothing protected them from bullets. The soldiers had to leave the room because of the smoke and dust, then return to finish the execution. Olga and her sister Tatiana tried to protect each other, but the soldiers stabbed and shot them. Tatiana was killed instantly, and Olga died shortly after from a gunshot wound. Their bravery in those final moments showed their strong bond and courage despite the horror around them. For many years, rumors spread that some members of the Romanov family survived. But these stories were false. The bodies were hidden in the woods near Yekaterinburg and were not found until 1991. Scientists later confirmed through DNA testing that all the family members, including Olga, had died that night. Olga's death marked the end of the Romanov dynasty and a chapter of Russian history. Her story remains a powerful reminder of the dangers faced by those caught in political upheaval and the tragic loss of a royal family once beloved by many. The remains of Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna and her family were lost for many decades after their deaths. In 1991, a group of archaeologists discovered a grave in the woods outside Yekaterinburg. The grave contained the bodies of the Romanov family members and their servants. However, 2 bodies were missing, those believed to be Olga's brother Alexei and one of her sisters. In 2007, Russian archaeologists found 2 burned skeletons near the original burial site. One was a boy between 12 and 15 years old, likely Alexei, and the other was a young woman between 15 and 19 years old, probably one of Olga's sisters. Alongside the bones, they found items like nails, metal strips, and bullets. Scientists performed DNA tests to confirm the identity of the remains. In early 2008, Russian forensic experts announced that the bones matched Alexei and one of his sisters. Later, in March 2009, American and Russian scientists published final results showing that all family members died together in 1918. This solved the mystery about the Romanov deaths once and for all. The discovery of the remains gave closure to many who had hoped that some of the Romanovs had survived. It also allowed the family to be honored properly. In 1998, the bodies of the Tsar, Empress, and 3 of their daughters were buried with full ceremonies in St. Petersburg, Russia. This confirmation of their deaths helped historians and the world better understand the tragic fate of Olga Nikolaevna and her family during one of Russia's most turbulent times. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna and her family were honored by the Russian Orthodox Church for their suffering and faith. In 1981, the family was first canonized as holy martyrs by the Russian Orthodox Church outside Russia, a group of Russian believers living abroad. Later, in 2000, the Russian Orthodox Church inside Russia officially recognized them as Passion Bearers, a title given to those who face death with Christian faith and forgiveness. Olga's story continues to inspire people around the world. She's remembered not only for her royal status, but also for her kindness, courage, and devotion to her family and country. During her short life, she showed strength in difficult times, from caring for wounded soldiers during World War I to enduring imprisonment and facing death with dignity. Many places and churches in Russia honor the memory of Olga and her family. The Church on Blood in Yekaterinburg stands near the site where the Romanovs were killed. The family's remains rest in the Peter and Paul Cathedral in St. Petersburg, a symbol of their lasting place in Russian history. Olga's legacy is a reminder of the personal costs of political change and the power of faith and family love. Her life story remains a touching chapter in the history of Russia and a lesson in courage for future generations. Grand Duchess Olga Nikolaevna of Russia lived during a time of great change and turmoil. As the eldest daughter of the last Russian emperor, she witnessed the fall of the Romanov dynasty and the end of the Russian monarchy. Olga's life shows the challenges faced by royalty in a world moving toward revolution and war. Her efforts as a nurse during World War I revealed her compassion and bravery. She cared for wounded soldiers and experienced firsthand the hardships of war. Olga's time in captivity during the Russian Revolution showed her strength and loyalty to her family, even in the face of danger and suffering. Olga's tragic death marked the end of an era, but her story continues to inspire people today. Through the discovery of her remains and the confirmation of her death, historians have been able to piece together the final moments of a royal family caught in history's storm. The Russian Orthodox Church's canonization of Olga and her family honors their faith and sacrifice. Her life and death serve as a powerful reminder of the personal cost of political change and the enduring power of love and courage. Olga Nikolaevna's story is a chapter in history that teaches us about resilience, loyalty, and hope. She remains a symbol of grace under pressure and a figure remembered with respect and admiration. Thank you very much for watching.